right, so you're probably wondering what kind of sounds are in the Moxf and how do you locate them? You have a ton of sounds in this machine. They're all really, really good. They range through a variety of categories such as pianos, electric pianos, organs, guitars, brass, strings, woodwinds, special effects, synthesizer sounds, that kind of thing. So in order to go through the various categories of sounds in the Moxf, the first thing you do is push the category search button. You come up with a screen, and it shows what the first category is, which in this case is acoustic piano. And then there are subcategories underneath the main, that particular main category. Press the downward cursor button to review which subcategories there are. So you have under acoustic piano, you have acoustic piano, a layer, which is usually something like a piano with the strings, modern, which would be a modern, trendy, current kind of sound, and vintage, which are classic acoustic piano sounds. So I'll go back to the all category, and I simply press enter. Now I'm presented with a list of all the acoustic piano sounds, and there's the first one, full concert grand. To audition each of the sounds, you simply press the cursor down button and you select the voice and you can hear it. It's really, really pretty easy to do. Okay, so to exit this mode, just press the left cursor button. This brings us back to this category search main page. We can select another category under the main categories simply by pressing the increment button. And now you see that we have the different categories. Keyboard, which would be your electric pianos and clavinets, things like that. Organ, guitar, bass, which would include electric basses and synthesizer basses. Strings, brass, Saxon woodwind, a synth lead, synth pad and choir sounds, synth comping, which is the synth sound that you would play like a piano part, chromatic percussion, which is your vibraphone and glockenspiels, bells, timpani, things like that, drum and percussion sounds, and sound effects, followed by musical effects, and then an ethnic category, and a vocoder, which we won't go into right now. That involves hooking a mic up to the keyboard and singing into it or talking into it while you play keys on the keyboard. So I'm going to go back now and let's do just a quick overview of some of the kinds of sounds that you'll hear in each of these categories. I'm going to go to the keyboard category and then go down here to the subcategory and select electric piano. That's a Rhodes sound, obviously. If I press the right cursor button, I get the list of all the electric pianos. And again, as you select the name, you can hear the voice. Okay, so let's say that I want to go back, and so, I've gone through the electric piano category. I simply press the left cursor button. I get back to this subcategory of electric piano. Now I have FM piano. And FM piano, by that they mean basically the Yamaha DX7, the electric piano from the 80s, that kind of sound. It was based on FM synthesis technology. There's a pretty FM piano sound. If I want to look at what is in this category further, in this subcategory, I simply press the right cursor button and I select different voices to hear them. Again, to go back and audition some more sounds, press the left cursor button. I'm going to select another category, organ. As soon as you select the category, you can hear that play it, and you can hear that there's an organ sound. Let's look at what the subcategories are. We have tone wheel, which would be your Hammond B3. And then I can press the right cursor button, and I can go through all the Hammond sounds. So those are my B3 sounds, Hammond B3 sounds. I'm going to press the left cursor button, and I'm going to go through the next subcategory, which is combo. That would be your cheap transistor organ sound. Most often associated with 60s and, vintage rock, things like that. The next category would be the pipe organs. Let's look at what's under the pipe organ category by pressing the right cursor button. That first one is called fluty pipe. Here's a full organ pipe organ sound. Here's another one. So I'm going to get back to the main screen. I'm going to go up here to the main category and select guitar. First thing that comes up is an acoustic guitar. So we have acoustic guitar categories: electric, clean, electric distortion, and those are the three categories you have, subcategories in the guitar category. Next would be bass. I can quickly review the two different categories in this one. We have acoustic bass. We have electric bass. And we have synth bass. We have arpeggio bass, which could be a synth bass kind of sound, but we'll have an arpeggio assigned to it, so you can do like a trance or techno stuff with it. If I press the right cursor button to reveal what's underneath the arpeggio bass category, I can quickly go through these. And you can select each voice and hear what it does. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the main screen. My next category is strings. The subcategory for strings is solo, which would be your violins, single, viola, cello, contrabass. Then you have ensembles. So that might think that is a string quartet. Let's see, and that is a quartet that comes if you push the right cursor button and you get the list of all the ensemble voices. The next one would be a small section, so a few more strings, probably 8 players. Then you have another small ensemble. And then you'll see that the next one, Almighty, is obviously a larger orchestral string sound. So let's go back to what other categories we have. We have pizzicato as a subcategory. And we have synth strings. And again, another arpeggio category. Now, so the subcategories underneath the main strings category. The next is brass. The subcategories for brass are solo, and let's see what that first one is. A trumpet, several different trumpets. There's a muted trumpet, flugel, etc. So let's go back to the subcategory in brass. We have brass ensemble, which are brass sections. And we have orchestral brass. We have synth brass. Everybody ought to know this song. And those are the categories under the brass section. Next would be sax and woodwind. We can have an all that will list all the sounds in it, or you can go for saxophone. That's a subcategory. We have a flute category. And woodwinds would be your clarinets and your English horns. reed and pipe sounds, and those are the categories under the sax and woodwind main category. Next would be synth leads. Most people would call a synthesizer sound. We have, under the subcategories, we have analog, and that would be things that are based on things like the Mini Moog, classic synthesizers. The next subcategory under synth lead would be digital. Would probably be more like a FM synth kind of things. Or layers of synthesizer lead sounds that couldn't really exist unless you had connected up a bunch of hardware. Okay, so let's next review the next category, which is hip-hop. And this is nice because a lot of people will say, I just need a hip-hop synth lead sound. So you can tell by looking at these, you can go through these, and you have various hip-hop lead sounds. Classic hip-hop stuff. Let's look at the next subcategory, which is dance. And here you have great synthesizer sounds for dance music. Trance sounds, dance sounds, four on the floor, house music, that kind of thing. The next subcategory under synth lead would be, of course, arpeggio synth lead sounds. And those are all the subcategories under the synth lead. Next is synth pad. And this includes the choirs. So the subcategories would be analog synth pads, very nice stuff. The category after that would be a subcategory warm, then bright, and then you get to your choir category, which is human voices, and you can go through the next list and listen to them. Some ah sounds or ha sounds, and oohs. The next synth pad choir category would be arpeggios. Now let's go back to synth comping. As you can see, I'm comping. I'm playing chord parts with a synth sound. The subcategories under that are analog, the next category would be digital, and then a special category, a subcategory that came up with called fade, which means simply that the sound dies off as you hold the keys down. We only have 3 sounds in this category. The next would be hook, and this would be like dance synth comping, and arpeggio. Okay, and those are our subcategories underneath the synth comping main category. Next one is chromatic percussion. This is where you have your vibraphones, marimbas, things like that. So we have malleted percussion. Chromatic, of course, refers to the fact that it's actually in tune, plays a scale. We have bells. We have synth bells. Pitch drums. There's a steel drum. What else do we have in here? Well, we have stuff like mabiras. Japanese koto drums, dulcimers, and so forth. And then we have the arpeggio category. Next category is drum and percussion. Now here's where we have your drum kits. So you have under that subcategory, you have drums, percussion, and I believe you have different things. So that was an orchestral percussion kit. You have, here's a pop Latin kit. Another percussion kit. And we have some specialty percussion kits which are made up of things like guitar and bass sound effects. Kind of crazy wacko kit sounding. Wooden bit sounds. Metal bit sounds. So on and so forth. And then the last category would be arpeggio drums. Okay, this next category is sound effects. This would be stuff that does not have a musical pitch. Underneath the main sound effect category, subcategories are moving, which is very animated, ambient, nature, and science fiction. And arpeggio. Next category is musical effect. These would be kind of layers of lots of moving, I call them one-note wonders. Swirly, ambient, soundscape stuff, but it has a musical pitch. And again, our subcategories are moving, ambient, so that's sort of your soundscape kind of thing. Good for movie and television soundtracks. The sweep effect. Hits. And arpeggios. And then you can select the right cursor button and go through the list of different kinds of sounds in that subcategory. The next category that we're going to look at is the ethnic category. This is various ethnic instruments, obviously. The subcategories under ethnic's main category would be bowed. Let's see what that instrument is. It's a kamens, which is an Arabic stringed instrument. These would be mostly stringed instruments. The next subcategory under ethnic would be plucked. Things like mabira, which is another name for a thumb piano, by the way. Ethnic instruments like a baglama. Katoon, canoe. Bouzouki. And so on. The next subcategory in the ethnic category would be struck. Things struck with mallets or hammers. Blown. Which would be ethnic flutes and pipes and things like that. snake charmer flute, mythic flute, and things like that, okay? And next subcategory would be arpeggio. And under that subcategory, there are actually two voices in that category.